So just by way of background, why am I here to talk about the future of work? Well, Ports of Auckland is automating its container terminal. So we're the first port in New Zealand to automate, and we're the first port in the world to actually introduce this type of automation, and only the second terminal in the world to do it on a brownfield site. So lots of challenges, not just operationally, but also around the future of work. So what I'd like to cover today really is just let's define the future of work, what we've done at Ports of Auckland to actually open up people's minds, and don't underestimate, that's a very difficult job, but we've got good people like Diane that seem to be able to prise them open. Retraining and upskilling. What we've said right from the outset is that automation, we have a social responsibility to retrain people either in new jobs on the port or outside the port. We'll talk about career support, emotional support, and most importantly, the communication plan, which is probably the most important component. So the future of work. The future is already here. It's not just evenly distributed. William Gibson. And it's certainly not evenly distributed at the Ports of Auckland. And while we're moving into being a technology village, there are parts of our business, particularly in stevedoring, where people are operating in a very traditional manner. And by staff whose families have worked at the port for generations. We've got one family there with 5 members, daughter, 3 sons, a father. So it's a family and familiar sort of a place, but it's going to change. So let's define the future of work. Well, I think the first thing is let's make it about people. It is about people, and decisions like we have made around automation impacts on people significantly. It's also about the way people relate to work in an age where quantum changes are occurring in technology, social norms, political trends, environmental awareness, and economic drivers. These paradigm shifts impact who works, what they do when they work, the expectations they have for work, and how the work is performed. So opening up minds to change. I'd say from the outset that opening up minds to change is not an easy process. The consultation process we went through prior to announcing automation, in a sense, I think nobody really believed we were going to do it, or it could be done, or understand the implications. It was probably denial. But we did encourage people affected by automation to undertake familiarisation tours in other departments to assess whether or not they would be interested in a job in IT, engineering, etc. But the first thing is, whilst we had these familiarisation tours, Diane and our futurist, Roger Dennis, worked on how can you visually provide people with the attraction to the future and understand the meaning of this significant change. So what we did, we converted 2 containers, and that'll enable us to actually take people through the ages from 1985 to 2035. And each section shows what a home looks like in the relevant years and what happens at the port in that same time frame. We talk about how much change they've already experienced in their lives and how they've coped with the changing world already. They came to realise that the world has changed around them and they had not really survived, but they were thriving. And we gave them a chance to discuss their concerns and articulate what they want to know and learn. And the reality is that this is probably the first time many of these people, our staff members, have actually thought about their purpose and their career developments. But what's also important, they had to think about their family and their whānau, and our intention is to actually use these containers to take through family, community leaders, to make them understand actually this world is changing and there's a completely new skill set that you need to actually get through the gate. So as Abby already mentioned, we also run future foresight training, and about 80 of our staff are trained in this. And future foresight is actually not looking through the keyhole and getting a peek to the future. It's actually defining your business in 30 years' time and then defining the steps you need to get there. So we've got 80 people trained, and what we have also introduced is the first annual Futures Conference, which we held last year. mainly for staff, but we want to actually introduce that for the wider community. So you're all welcome to come to the Futures Conference next September. So retraining and upskilling, a very important part of the process. Straddle drivers, for instance, have transferable skills into truck driving. And we're retraining, in fact, we've retrained 8 that will potentially move into our trucking subsidiary. And the whole of New Zealand is short of truck drivers, I think around 5,000. And of course, inertia around government regulation for autonomous trucks means that there's likely to be a need for truck drivers for some time. Maybe Peter Stasny's here, he can change that and fast track these autonomous vehicles. Michael Stasny, sorry. Autonomous straddles still need servicing. Our mechanical engineers are already learning systems engineering skills and will be further extending this capability. Some may be able to upskill to mechatronics, and some stevedores with the aptitude will also retrain in systems engineering. We are letting staff shadow others to discover opportunities and reinforce that they have transferable skills. If this reveals an interest in a trade like plumbing, electricity, electrical carpentry, we've put aside a budget to train them outside the organisation. And we've also started talking to 2 tertiary providers to assist us with that. Helping staff understand that the future of work requires a mindset of lifelong learning. The skills and knowledge of today may not be the right ones for tomorrow. We are, for instance, introducing LinkedIn Learning as an option for people to explore new subject areas and engage in micro-learning and micro-credentials. We've engaged career coaches to work with staff. As we get closer to automation, staff can book time to discuss their career options, both inside and outside the port, and we'll also be helping them write their CVs. The service will also be open to other non-operational staff who may feel uncertain about the future. Operations is not the only area where work is changing. Many of our financial processes are now automated, and our export documentation processes will be streamlined also. We're also offering emotional support. The level of change we are undergoing is unprecedented, and it is inevitable that staff will feel stressed. We have a close working relationship with EAP, who provide us with counsellors to work with, and particularly those who are feeling the pressure of change. EAP work with us in-house, and we have a room set aside where counselling sessions can take place. Staff can still opt for a personal session without us knowing, but we pick up the cost. We're also providing mental health training to managers to help them recognise where there may be issues and show them how and where to go for help. This is a brand new part of our business. Communications, it's probably the most important part, but we've made communication a priority and recognise we have 3 very different groups. People in the first group are directly impacted by automation and have a real fear that robots are taking their job. Our communications reassure them that we will support them and help them through the change. People in the second group know that they will have to change the way they work, and the volume of work they do will also increase. Our communications praise them for creating the new innovative world we see in the future. And people in the third group are doing work that is unrelated to automation, but it's focused in other ways on innovation, sustainability, and creating a world-class company. We acknowledge that their work is important too, and reassure them that although our focus is on automation, they will have a chance to shine as well. And other initiatives include did you know posters, like did you know we've laid 22 kilometres of fibre optic cable? Do you know that we've got our own GPS system? We've also started a staff engagement app and a staff book that will be out soon called Automation and Me. So it's business as unusual at the ports of Auckland, but it's an exciting travel ahead, but people, and we have to look after our people. Thank you.